Welcome back to another episode of Ballers, Beers, and Banter. I'm your host, Dave. Here with me, Johnny Storm and John Allardyce. Anthony and Moose.
Hello.
What's up?
Do you guys know those Johnny Storm and John Allardyce?
Isn't Johnny Storm like the Human Torch from Marvel?
Yes, nailed it. Nailed it.
So I get to be that one.
And what was the other name?
John Allardyce, along the same lines.
No.
He's Pyro from X-Men.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah. And I picked two guys on fire because, first of all, you guys are on fire just with your general fantasy breakdown and knowledge and, prepping everyone for the draft season. I would say you guys are both on fire. But also, it is a record heat wave in BC right now. It is crazy hot up here in the Pacific Northwest. Currently, today it's going to be as high as 42 degrees Celsius. Actually, that's projected for tomorrow. Right now, it's more like 40, but it's tomorrow as high as 42 degrees Celsius, which for our American fans is 107 degrees Fahrenheit.
How much in Kelvin?
315 Kelvin, Moose. I'm glad that you asked. And actually, the Kelvin, if you didn't know, you just add 273. It's really easy.
So for those listeners who didn't know, we are a fantasy football podcast and the Weather Network. So for Canada.
It's hot, man. It's crazy hot. Like it's kind of, I guess Montreal gets that hot with the humidex, but
It was very humid today.
like nobody has AC in British Columbia because you just usually open the windows, get that ocean breeze, but it's a dangerous hot right now.
Gotta get some fans.
Yeah, I got one. I got a few fans.
Gotta get some fans.
Anyway, so I'm having water. I'm having a watermelon White Claw, and then I also have a beer. So I'm staying very hydrated on the podcast tonight.
Very good.
So
Very good.
Don't worry. Fret not. I'm staying
We're
cool.
impressed.
Thanks. All right, let's get into some headlines. The main topic of today is our third episode of our Marquis de la Midround series, where we profile our favorite players in the mid rounds, about rounds 5 through 10. So we have 3 more players to profile later today. Really excited to get into that. But first, Moose is going to hit us with a few headlines.
Yeah, we don't have any terribly exciting headlines this week. Not too much happened in the NFL, but a couple of headlines provided by beat writers. Trey Sermon could impact as a rookie. Well, we kind of discussed that a little bit further back, and
No duh.
yeah. So with the injury history in San Francisco and his talent, I don't think that's an unreasonable statement. Laviska Shenault Jr., best player at OTAs and minicamp. Exciting if you've put stock into Jacksonville.
There's a lot of hype around Laviska.
A lot of hype. Some more controversial headline topic. James Robinson expected to be heavily involved per Jaguars beat reporter. So, there's a lot of talk back and forth about how that backfield is going to play out. So it's very interesting. More backfield headlines. We spoke about this. We were briefly excited about it and the potential, but looks like he is, in fact, maybe has some longer term consequences, I guess, from COVID. But Raquel Armstead has been waived by the New York Giants.
I just don't think he's very good.
Well, but he was supposed to be the starting running back in Jacksonville. So
Sure.
he never really got a chance. So I think
That's true. I know you've stood up for him on the podcast before. You have his back.
Well, I don't think there's enough. He hasn't played enough for anyone to even make a judgment call.
Sure.
But he was anticipated to be, a starting running back. So unfortunate to hear that news. Antonio Gibson's growth could fuel the Washington football team offense.
Ooh, we're going to talk a little Washington today.
And our last headline here, which many jokes will be made about, maybe. Rashad Bateman could be day one contributor in Baltimore.
Yeah, and my understanding of that is he'll be holding Lamar Jackson's helmet after he runs for 70-yard touchdown, or
Exactly.
He'll get him the water. That's my thoughts on heavily involved as a receiver on that's not Mark Andrews. on Baltimore. There was one other headline was Urban Meyer came out and said Trevor Lawrence isn't ready yet, as in to start. And people are like, what? And now that mixed with the whole Tim Tebow hype, people are thinking maybe Tebow was brought in to start the year quarterback until Trevor Lawrence is ready.
The headline said they were putting Tim Tebow on the practice squad.
Good. They should. That's where he belongs. But anyways, here's the quote. This is from Urban Meyer, and this is via 247sports.com. We got a long training camp coming up. He's probably advanced maybe a little quicker than we would have thought, which was a positive. Meyer said this week. One thing that we worked on when we made a decision that Trevor was going to be our number one pick, we went from the evaluation stage to the preparation stage. And that means that I want to see, I can't remember the exact date, but we started installing the playbook with him well before the draft. So you can see the retention. He's got a really good work ethic and he's progressed very well. There remains almost no universe in which Lawrence isn't under center for the Jaguars in their week 1 game against Houston. The article finishes. So, but yeah, I just think it's funny. They're downplaying Trevor Lawrence a little bit.
Well, I don't think anyone's drafting him in redraft though, or at least not early.
I think he'll be drafted in most redraft leagues.
He'll be like Joe Burrow last year. He'll be a late pick as like a backup quarterback. I don't think you want to draft a quarterback late and choose him as your starter because it really is an unknown and it is Jacksonville. So, I mean, by all means, have him as a backup because if he hits, he hits. If he's the next Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck, then it'll hit. Even Cam Newton, his first season, it took like halfway through the season for him to actually like dominate. So, yeah, it'll take time. So,
I think he's a good target for people waiting on QB, or if you're drafting 2, like Anthony said. I think it's definitely could be. Let's just hope he doesn't retire like one day before the season starts in a few years. Like when Andrew Luck was like, peace, I'm out of here. And like everyone had just finished their draft and drafted Andrew Luck. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember T.Y. Hilton was one of my keepers that year. That didn't go well. Yeah. All right. That's it for headlines. You guys ready to rock and roll?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. I believe, according to protocol, it's supposed to be Moose that starts first because it was Anthony, episode 1, Dave, episode 2, and Moose, it's your turn to lead off, episode 3.
I'm pretty sure I started episode 1, but I'll take us away here. So my marquee of the mid-round today is Michael Gallup. And I think it's a tricky one with him because he is the he's probably going to be the third wide receiver on the Cowboys, but we'll get into that in a bit. But I like Michael Gallup because he is a solid wide receiver 3 on the Cowboys and has, I think, a ton of upside, especially if you're going to take him as a backup wide receiver on your team. Last year, even with Andy Dalton under center for most of the season, he went for 843 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Tutties.
So that's not it's not too terrible. He was one sec, where is it here? Here we go. So he was scoring about 9 points per game, which I think all these numbers take a boost if Dak Prescott is healthy and playing this season. And I guess that is my main question for you guys. Since we spoke about it with about Pittsburgh, and other teams, is do you guys feel that Michael Gallup will be able to be fantasy relevant with Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb there? And, for that matter, throw in Blake Jarwin and Ezekiel Elliott as well.
So I'll start with this one. I think we'll have our first disagreement of the Marquis de la mid-round.
Oh yeah, Moose, you gotta hit us with a Marquis, Moose.
Marquis.
Oh, so good, man.
I'm gonna kind of stick with a move that I had made in our Dynasty League. I had Michael Gallup. I had drafted him in our redraft keeper and our Dynasty. The year that I won a Dynasty championship and the keeper championship. I had him on both my teams. I traded him away in Dynasty this past year because I did not like what I saw with the three of them and with the tight end being involved. And obviously, like you mentioned, Blake Jarwin will most likely be another target this coming year.
And Andy Dalton. The question was Dak Prescott specific.
Right.
Yes.
With Dak Prescott there, I still feel that Gallup is further behind the two receivers for sure. He's the third receiver there. CeeDee Lamb is supposed to even overtake Amari Cooper this year. And I think just competing with those two talents, not that Michael Gallup isn't, I just think, I think, where did you say he was going draft-wise?
I have Michael Gallup in half PPR right now, about 136 ADP, so like 11th round. Right at the end of our marquee middle rounds.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
do you think he'll do better or worse than 9 points a game?
Better.
I think he'll do the same or worse.
He was 9 points per game last year. Is that what you're saying, Moose?
Yeah.
I think he's got to do better.
Like 800 and couple of yards, 850 some odd yards,
800 yards and 5 tutties. Nothing to shake a stick at. Listen, if you believe, like Dak Prescott was on, and the Cowboys were on record-setting pace through the first 4 games of the season last year, they were on pace for Dak to throw 7,000 yards. Obviously, that wasn't going to happen, right? It's probably going to be more like maybe 5,000 or something, but it was a torrid pace. So if you are a Dak Prescott believer, you think he's going to be fully healthy upon returning, and the Cowboys will return to that dominant offense, then yeah, Gallup will obviously be more than 9 points per game, right? I mean, he has to be. If you think that the Cowboys will just be normal good, like let's say, I don't know, instead of record setting, they're just 5th best in the league, then maybe not. There's a third wide receiver on that team, but if you believe in Dak and you believe in the Cowboys, then you should definitely believe in Michael Gallup at his 11th round price.
The reason why I'm low on him, it's not that I don't think he can produce, and the 9 points a game does sound pretty good. It sounds consistent when you talk about it like that. But when I'm looking at his half PPR points per game, he's when I'm looking at our Marquis de mid round, when I take receivers later, it's because I'm drafting running back heavy. So if you're drafting Michael Gallup, I'm looking at his games. It was 6-6, 22, 3, 9, 3, 0, 9, 5, 3, 7, 18.1, 3, 10, 27, 6. So it's very all over the place. I know I rattled that off fast.
Very fast. I love how you were also like 2, 23, 4, 5, 0.
Yeah, 0.
That one stood out. Well, I heard that one.
Yeah. But he played that game. He was targeted. So 0 points is not it's not
ideal. It's not ideal
fantasy. So yeah. He did have stretches where he had like 4 weeks of single digit points. I think if you're drafting a wide receiver late, like some of the other ones that we've mentioned a Michael Pittman Jr., we mentioned T. Higgins. These are guys that are going to take over the number 1 spot or take over the number 1 spot or is the number 1 on their team already that are going later. So for him, we know he's 3, and I think it's a gamble. I don't know, Moose, whether you'd say take him at 11th or you're saying he should be taken earlier, like in the 8th or 9th round. I'm not sure where you feel on that end.
I think if you get him in the 11th is probably your 4th or 5th wide receiver. I mean, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I'm not very high on Michael Gallup because he's clearly the number 3. And I don't think that we'll see record-setting numbers in Dallas. I think they'll be good. But I don't think we'll see record-setting. And I think CeeDee Lamb's definitely CeeDee and Amari Cooper are going to command a lot of that offense. So I'm not super high on him. 11th round. He's still a young guy. He's only 25 years old. And the ability's there. They just got to feed him. Can I ask you guys, since you brought up Michael Pittman, Anthony? Mm-hmm. So would you rather have Michael Gallup or Michael Pittman?
Michael Pittman Jr.
Moose?
Yeah, I'd rather have Michael Pittman.
I think I would too, because he has a chance to be the number 1. Gallup is tougher stretch. Pittman's being drafted in half PPR 123, so about a whole round earlier. Would you rather have Michael Gallup or Laviska Shenault? The hype on Laviska Shenault.
Laviska Shenault.
I think I'd rather have Gallup.
it's tough for me. I think I'd go Visca as long as I don't have any other Jacksonville. I'd like one Jacksonville on my team. I don't want to load up, but I want one because I think they're going to be good. LaVisca is 120 ADP. So again, a full round plus earlier. Would you rather the rookie Jalen Waddle in Miami or Michael Gallup?
I don't think I have to answer that one.
Moose is Gallup. We know that.
Well, I'm just not taking anyone from Miami.
Yeah, you're not taking anyone from Miami. We know that. Anthony?
I think I'm going to go with Waddle because I think at worst he'll perform the same way as Gallup. Upside is obviously higher.
Why wouldn't you just take Gallup? You know what Gallup's going to do.
Yeah, but for me, how I look at it, because I'm very low on Tua, but Waddle was drafted to eventually be the number one, and he could be the number one on that team. So target wise, he'll get more targets and has more of an upside, whereas Gallup's upside is third wide receiver. His is number one, which could generate more points for him. More targets is better for a fantasy player that late in the draft.
So the real question is the third receiving option on the best offense in fantasy, or one of the best offenses in fantasy, better than the second receiving option or even the best receiving option on what could be the worst fantasy offense? You know, it's like, it's an interesting question.
But I mean, yeah, they have a high-powered offense, Dallas, that is, but will they be number one? Like, we've seen Dallas, you know, like exceed expectations, and we see them severely
in real football. We know Dallas is they're gonna drop the ball, right? They're gonna lose to the Giants and not make the playoffs, or lose in the first week of the playoffs. But for we don't care about that. We just care about fantasy. Are they gonna throw a ton? So it's an interesting question. I got one more for you. Would you rather Michael Gallup, or, by the way, Waddle was ADP 125, so going before. Would you rather Michael Gallup or Mike Williams, the Chargers' number 2 option with Justin Herbert there, who's receiving yet again tons of hype?
Michael Gallup.
And I think I've just been burned by Mike Williams in the past.
Yeah,
he's always a sleeper. I've had him a couple times as a sleeper, so I'd probably go Gallup. And Mike Williams is being drafted right before Gallup in half-point PPR, 134. Gallup's 136. So it's interesting. So we all chose at least one person that's being drafted before Michael Gallup. So in half PPR. So it's interesting. Moose, anything else to add on Mikey G?
I just think he's I mean, you can almost call him like a handcuff too, because he's talented enough to come in as a as the wide receiver 2 should anything happen to the 1 and 2 that are already there.
Yeah, if Cooper or Lamb were out, then Gallup would be, he'd be drafted way earlier, right?
Yeah.
And it's important to note that I think there was a lot of hype on Gallup coming into last season, because people weren't sure what role CeeDee Lamb was going to have, and I can't remember, how was his first 4 games. Was he good? There was that game 3 against Seattle where he had 22 points with Dak, right?
Yeah.
So Dak was targeting Gallup quite a bit. So,
I mean, in 2019, he went for over 1,000 yards and 6 tutties.
Right. And that's why I drafted him, because I knew with Dak Prescott in that year in the dynasty that it was going to be Dak Prescott throwing to Amari and Michael Gallup. But then when they drafted CeeDee Lamb, I was like, this is peculiar. Do they not think they can roll with those 2 only? Because Gallup really impressed.
I think they could feed all 3.
But they can, but I don't think it's consistent enough for Gallup.
This is important. The CeeDee Lamb drafting, normally I would say, Anthony, you're right. Oh man, they draft a first round wide receiver when they already had 2 very good ones. Usually would indicate they don't believe in their number 2. Like in the case of Rondale Moore being drafted to Arizona, they're not super high on Christian Kirk. But in this case, they didn't expect CeeDee Lamb to fall to them. They were eyeing, I think, defense. But then when CeeDee Lamb, because he was projected to go earlier, when he fell to them, they, what's his name? Jerry Jones got all excited. He's like, well, he called it in. He's like, we got to take CeeDee Lamb. And he's all excited. And he's like, you got to wear 88, same as Des Bryant and Michael Irvin. So it's not necessarily, that they don't believe in Gallup.
Well, it's just maybe there's too many mouths to feed. Like,
But that's what I'm saying is I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying for redraft. His inconsistency week to week, being a third, because he's solidified the third spot as wide receiver on the team. So the inconsistency is what I don't want in redraft. Maybe late round flyer, like 11th round, 12th round, maybe. But in redraft, I'm not trusting it.
Yeah, but I would.
Go ahead, Moose.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would put almost the inconsistency on Andy Dalton.
No, I think it'll be any quarterback. I just think Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb will just have more targets than he will.
If you're the third receiver on any team and the fourth option after Zeke, there's going to be plus your receiver. Receivers are always inconsistent, so there will be some inconsistency there. Got excited, but as my wide receiver, like in that round 11, I mean, I wouldn't like. He's not my favorite target, but to have a piece of what should be one of the better fantasy offenses, it's like, as your fourth or fifth wide receiver, why not? He's not my favorite, but I can see it. I get the argument for it. All right, we moving on?
Sure.
Okay, that was fun. Little gallop, little chicka, 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 chicka. That's my noise for galloping. I'm really not a sound effects guy. I can't roll my R. I can't do what is it in Monty Python? They knock the coconuts together when they're pretending to be on the horse. Yeah, that's what I need. Some coconuts. All right, Anthony, you up? All
right. So my pick this week or this episode is not wide receiver. It's a running back, Jamaal Williams, the new running back for the Detroit Lions.
The new old running back.
The new old, but number one question mark. So let's dive into this.
Ooh.
So obviously, or I'll just mention for those of you who don't know, for you listeners, he comes from Green Bay. He was behind Aaron Jones, who was an elite running back. But when Aaron Jones has been out, Jamaal Williams has shined as a number two and is an extremely talented number two. Sean. He's Sean. He's going into his fifth year with a completely new coaching staff in Detroit, with Dan Campbell as the head coach, Anthony Lynn, a former NFL running back and head coach for the, I was going to say San Diego, the LA Chargers, but now the offensive coach. And we've talked about on previous episodes in the news segment where they'll kind of roll with the hot hand. It's not obvious that DeAndre Swift going into sophomore year will be the clear-cut number one. We'll probably get majority of the initial touches, but I think Jamaal Williams can surpass him or be more of a consistent option in the run game, especially. Kind of like I'm looking at an LA Rams type style running situation.
From last season? From when?
Just kind of rolling with like a Henderson and a Cam Akers, maybe more like how this season's going to go for them. Because they obviously had Malcolm Brown there the last season. So there was three of them, but I think there's so much potential for Jamaal Williams here because like I mentioned, I always thought he was a good option to have in previous years on your fantasy team as a handcuff for if Aaron Jones got injured. And even we talked about it last season, where it was a good option to have maybe week to week, depending on who they were playing. If it was a weaker defense for the run game, you can slot him in there, get a solid like 10 points if you got a touchdown in there. But it's Detroit. We don't know what they're going to do. They're going to be a mess this year. They're going to go with the hot hands wherever they can. They'll go to whoever will move the ball up the field for them. So if it's going to be DeAndre Swift and Jamaal Williams and no wide receivers, then I mean, it's still positive for Jamaal Williams.
But that's it, right? That you hit the nail on the head, Anthony. They don't have a lot of receiving options. They got TJ Hawkinson, then they got rookies and second-year players or washed up veterans. No offense
has-beens.
No offense to Brashad Perryman and Terrell Williams, but. So the running backs will be featured in this offense, and Dan Campbell's style and philosophy is a hard-nosed, bite your kneecaps off, hit you in the face kind of style. They're gonna ground and pound. And then Anthony Lynn, who's a former running back, loves running backs, and I think you mentioned as well, Anthony, loves veterans. loves veteran running backs and reliable guys who are going to do the small things right, like pick up the blitz blocking, or finish out the fake handoff, or just leadership and stuff. And Jamaal Williams is loved in the locker room. I don't know if you ever see him interviewed. He's hilarious.
Yeah,
has a real zest for the game and for life. He's one of my favorite mid-round targets, and I think he's gonna feature well. Yeah. Even if Swift's the lead guy, he's gonna feature well in this offense.
I find myself drafting him in most of my mock drafts that I've done. He's going late 8th, early 9th. I'm not sure if he's listed somewhere else on where you were looking for consensus, Dave, but I find myself getting him mostly in the early 9th round.
I have Jamaal Williams in half PPR. One of the half PPR rankings that his ADP is 131 right now, which would put him round 11.
Round 11.
Half PPR. Yeah.
So people, are hopping on the bandwagon. They're seeing the opportunity there, and that's what you want. That was my debate about Michael Gallup. I think the opportunity is what I look for in redraft, which is why I felt like Waddle over Gallup might be better. I don't believe in Tua, really, his passing game, but a lot of people do. It's his sophomore year, but that's why I feel Jamaal Williams could be like a home run drafting him between, I guess, the 9th and the 11th round. Some guys that are going before him, if I'll like in one of my mock drafts, are Tony Pollard, AJ Dillon, Zach Moss, Javonte Williams, Leonard Fournette. We said before, we don't want anything to do with Leonard Fournette because they're going to roll with a different running back week to week. Tony Pollard did fill in for a couple games when Ezekiel Elliott was having a tough time or fumbling the ball, but they always went back to Ezekiel Elliott. Nyheim Hines is another one that I forgot to mention. He's clearly the backup to Jonathan Taylor, more of a receiving option for the Indianapolis Colts. Zach Moss with Devin Singletary. They both underwhelmed last year.
Yeah, I mean, a sure starting running back. Yeah, I would still kind of take before. So, for example, or what we feel is a sure starting running back. So, would you rather Jamaal Williams or Michael Carter, the rookie with the New York Jets?
Jamaal Williams.
Yeah, Jamaal Williams.
Oh wow, both Jamaal Williams. Okay, I think it's really tough for me, but I think I might go Michael Carter because of his pathway to being a number one. Michael Carter is actually being drafted the same spot in half PPR as
the Jets.
As Jamaal Williams. I know.
My rule is I have the Jets in there too. With like Moose's Miami, don't draft.
I like Michael Carter too. I don't think they're going to be a run heavy team. I think they're really
passing to the running back as well. Check downs.
Yeah. I think Jamaal Williams will have also that opportunity.
He will. But
just looking at some of those players I mentioned, like Tony Pollard finished below Jamaal Williams last year, and Jamaal Williams was the clear-cut number 2. Now, I think it's going to be a running back Pollard, yeah, but he finished ahead of him, and now Pollard is in the same role, whereas Williams will definitely see an increase in touches and targets, I believe. Fournette just finished above him by 4 fantasy points, and people are drafting Fournette like 2-3 rounds earlier compared to Jamaal Williams. I mean, they're drafting Fournette based on name. And I mentioned guys like Darrell Henderson on the Rams. Darrell Henderson finished above him. That's a backup running back. So
that's a good comp.
I guarantee you that Jamaal Williams will. And he finished 39th in half point PPR. I guarantee you he'll finish within maybe just outside RB2 or just within RB2 territory. In his first year as a backup, I believe he came in with Aaron Jones. That I might not be correct, but his first year he finished 28th, so just outside running back 2 territory. I think now in his role.
28 in standard.
In half point.
In half point? Okay.
In half point. So I do think
you see Jamaal Williams finishing a guaranteed RB2?
Low RB2 or just outside the RB2, which is a huge increase. And I mean, it could be higher. I mean, if Swift struggles, Jamaal Williams is going to take over.
Could always be higher. Any running back's one injury away from skyrocketing up the
Exactly.
rankings, right?
But I think he'll get definitely more work because DeAndre Swift is not an Aaron Jones.
Well,
let's
not yet,
pump
but
the
he has
brakes
the-
here.
he has
He's
the
had
team.
like half a season.
Right. But that's why I'm saying he hasn't proven himself yet, and Jamaal Williams is looking for an opportunity to prove himself. And with the news coming out of Detroit that they're kind of Anthony Lynn likes what he sees from Jamaal Williams, they'll kind of roll with the hot hand.
Yeah, they've also said they really like what they see out of DeAndre Swift as well. So,
but that's what I'm saying. They're talking both of them up, so they're not saying they like one more than the
committee.
But it's fine. But listen, Jamaal Williams in the 11th round, or where you can get him, for someone who, even if his max upside's like a 50-50 split with DeAndre Swift, it's good. It's great value. And then who knows? Who knows how he's going to be featured? And Swift got injured in his first year, right? He had a concussion issue, I believe.
Played 13 games.
Wood, yeah, knock on wood. We don't, ever wish injury, but already in your first year you have some concussion issues. Then it's a very smart pick. I love Jamaal Williams at that spot. If you were asking me to take Jamaal Williams in round 8, I'd feel much differently about it. But Jamaal Williams in round 11, take it.
What about round 9?
I take it every day.
Round 9 is higher?
I take it every day and twice on Tuesday. Round 9, more to think about in round 9.
Okay, so
Like who else?
I'll rattle them off again.
So round 9 guys.
So in my mock draft, people that are going before, would you rather Tony Pollard or Jamaal Williams?
Anthony, you're all about this. Is this one mock draft you did?
No. It's several. It's several. I said I find myself drafting him in several.
You've taken
and he's gone up
average?
from 11th in sleeper specifically. He's gone up from 11th from when I started mock drafting earlier, and he's going 9th, early 9th round now in several that I've done over the past 3 weeks. So, would you rather Tony Pollard or Jamaal Williams?
Jamaal Williams.
Jamaal Williams.
Jamaal Williams. Would you rather Nyheim Hines or Jamaal Williams?
Jamaal Williams.
Jamaal Williams.
Jamaal Williams. Nyheim Hines, Zach Moss or Jamaal Williams?
Jamaal Williams.
That one's closer because
Jamaal
we're
Williams.
talking about the same opportunity to be the starting running back, and Buffalo is going to dominate the AFC.
Zach Moss is the starting running back.
He is the starting running back.
Well, him and Devin Singletary. You're right. He has more of an edge than.
No, Zach Moss is the starting running back.
Okay. So yes. So
So
it's
you'll
still
take Zach
going
Moss.
to be quite a share with him and Singletary. No. But he's
I
in the
don't
DeAndre Swift version of the share. I would take Zach Moss. I think.
I would go Jamaal Williams. Zach Moss burnt me last year, and I took it personally.
I'm going
Leonard
Jamaal
Fournette or Jamal Williams?
Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams.
Yeah, Jamaal Williams.
So Leonard Fournette, maybe you can drum that up on your list there. Leonard Fournette's going in the late 7th.
Yeah, he's going early.
Yeah,
He
he's going.
is ADP 70 earlier in half PPR.
And then, so I mean, Jamal Williams, we're naming him above all these guys going before him. And basically the next guy taken in, I'm looking at a couple of my mock drafts here, is Mike Davis, Kenyon Drake, and James Conner. So I think like Mike Davis is the line before you get into these.
Hold on.
Where there's a huge drop
Where's
off.
Mike Davis going?
He's going 6th, 7th round.
Yeah,
He was
okay.
one of your marquee.
Yeah.
So I'm saying
But
that's the line.
I'm saying in your mock drafts, I thought he was going near Jamal Williams. I was like, what?
No.
'Cause then
I'm going
was
kind
gonna
of
question the legitimacy here.
I'm mentioning guys that are going before him. So
Yeah.
I think Mike Davis is the line, and then there's a huge drop off. And I find myself looking at these running backs going after
Yep.
besides the rookies, because you also get a Javonte Williams thrown in there, which I think would the two of you take Javonte Williams over Jamal Williams?
Yes,
I would, yeah.
I would as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
he's the better of the Jay Williamses.
yes,
At this
exactly. So I mean, it makes sense for us at least that Jamal Williams should be higher because of opportunity. Other than, and there's another one I missed, AJ Dillon. I know Moose will probably take AJ Dillon.
In a redraft? No, I'd probably still take. Take Jamal Williams.
I might go Jamal Williams, but AJ Dillon. The only thing about Green Bay is that if you have any kind of injury, they rest you. So at one point next year, Aaron Jones will sit out a game, and AJ Dillon will destroy. So if you want to win that 1 week that AJ Dillon's the starter, if not more, because anything can happen, right? He's in a good spot. He's a better handcuff, I would say.
Well, I mean, they would be kind of like how Jamaal Williams performed when Aaron Jones was out. So, I mean, I guess the expectation for A.J. Dillon would be what Jamaal Williams did. Jamaal Williams had weeks where he had like 19 points. I think the year before he had 20 points. So, like, A.J. Dillon will be productive because we know that the way they operate the run game will be successful for whoever's there. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
A.J. Dillon's his role's much different than Jamaal Williams's, but
Plus, I think AJ Dillon will get any kind of goal line work.
he might.
That too,
I mean,
yeah.
he's huge. He's huge. He could just lean forward. He's going to fall in the end zone.
yeah.
Oh, baby. All right. Anything else on Jamaal Williams?
No.
I think that's Jamaal we have to talk about.
Well, that brings me to my Marquis de la mid-round for today. Moose, can you hit me with the Marquis?
Marquis.
And that is Curtis Samuel, wide receiver for the Washingtons, Roman numeral 2, which if you're new to the podcast is our name for the Washington football team, because we thought that's about as silly as all the other names they came up with, or not having a name. So Curtis Samuel plays for the Washingtons this year. He stands at 5'11", 195 pounds. Oh yeah, I'm throwing it in just like he's a college profiler. His current ADP in PPR, we have him going 129th overall, or round 11. In half PPR, he's going a little bit earlier. He's 106th overall, or round 9. So he's somewhere in that 9 to 11 range in your drafts right now. Does that sound about right to you guys?
Yep.
Anthony, you want to vet that against your most recent mock draft? That
Oh,
you're doing
I have
right
it
now. Where
For
did
the
Curtis
past-
Samuel go in your mock
for-
draft? Where did he go? I want to
He
know.
went between there. For the last month, he went between, I think there was only one. Yeah, I'm looking at, there's one where he went in the 8th, but everything else he was between 9th and 11th.
Okay, good to know. So Curtis Samuel, I'll give you a little history on Curtis. He's on first name basis. He's 24 years old, so he's still very young, going into his 5th year in the NFL. Last season, he finished as wide receiver number 25 on the year in half PPR. Not too bad. And he was the 3rd option on the Carolina Panthers team that I would say struggled at times to get the offense going. He posted stat lines of 77 receptions, 851 yards, 3 receiving tutties, as well as 200 yards on the ground and 2 rushing tutties. So pretty comparable to Michael Gallup numbers there, I would say, with the 851. Now, here's my first question for you guys. Curtis Samuel's moved to Washington. He was with Teddy Bridgewater-led Carolina offense. Now he's got Ryan Fitzmagic. Is that an upgrade at QB?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I would say so as well. Do you see Curtis Samuel as 2nd on the depth chart after Terry McLaurin in terms of the receiving game in Washington? That's the end of my question. It didn't sound like the end of
Yeah, it didn't sound like
big time.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he's 2nd. Do you agree that he was, for the most part of last season, he was the 3rd on the depth chart in Carolina?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have an upgrade at QB, and we have an upgrade in depth chart. He's now 2nd receiving option on Washington. Now, here's the downside. Washington is a complete unknown right now. Okay, Ryan Fitzmagic was brought in, Curtis Samuel's brought in, Adam Humphries is brought in. They got a ton of running backs. You would expect if they brought Fitzmagic in, they brought Curtis Samuel in, and Adam Humphries, you would expect a little bit more passing maybe, or that to be featured a little bit more, but we don't really know. But what we can probably bet is they're not going to light it up like the Kansas City Chiefs or the Dallas Cowboys the first 4 games last year. That's probably not going to be Washington. They have a good running game and a great defense.
I disagree.
Disagree with what?
I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is definitely going to light it up.
Okay. And that's what I like to hear. But did you know? So would you say that they were lighting it up through the air last year?
No.
But did you know that they actually threw on 60% of their plays last year? They had 600 pass attempts, only 400 rushing attempts last year. Now, a lot of those were dump offs and short passes and like Alex Smith checkdowns. But guess what Curtis Samuel's great at? He can do that, or he can do the other. So let's say 600 passing attempts from last year. McLaurin would get the lion's share of those receptions. Let's say McLaurin gets 150. Let's say the running backs as a group get the same they got last year, which is 161 targets. Okay. So 150 to Terry McLaurin, 161 to the running backs. Logan Thomas got 110 last year, should get around that again. That still leaves 200 plus targets for the rest. And out of the rest, Curtis Samuel is going to be the guy. And so I could easily see him getting over 100 targets in this offense next year and could be looking at better numbers than what got him number 25 in the season last year. So there's a potential there, I think, for him to be a wide receiver 2 in this offense. Probably not a wide receiver 1. That's probably not his upside, but he has a wide receiver 2 upside. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Those numbers check out for you?
Yeah.
They do.
Okay, awesome. Now, don't forget that Samuel is being reunited with his former head coach, Ron Rivera. Anthony?
Reunited and it feels so good.
Are we off? I think you're hearing my audio late.
Yeah.
We're off. We're always off.
And then I'm hesitating because I'm trying to catch up to you.
Exactly. You jumped in, then you hesitated. It's okay.
Yeah.
So Ron Rivera and Curtis Samuel reunited. So Ron Rivera was the head coach who drafted or was part of the team that drafted Curtis Samuel in round 2, 40th overall in 2017. Round 2 is high for wide receivers back then. And they also gave him a 3-year, $34.5 million contract with $23 million guaranteed. That's big money for a wide receiver too. So they obviously invested a lot in Curtis Samuel. They clearly have a plan to use him. You don't throw $23 million away. They have a plan to use this guy. I think we'll see him used similar to how he's used in Carolina, which is he'll take handoffs in the backfield. He'll be used as an H-back. He'll be used in motion and be used in the slot, out wide, jet sweeps. I think we'll see Curtis Samuel used quite a bit in this offense, and he can still be used downfield. And then you got Terry McLaurin there, who's the clear number 1, but will always command the best corner on the other team as well, and maybe even double coverage sometimes. That's how good Terry McLaurin is. So I think that there's opportunity there for Curtis Samuel to crush it.
Fair.
No arguments there? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do a little would you rather then with Curtis Samuel. Okay. Would you rather Curtis Samuel or Juju Smith-Schuster?
Juju.
God.
I picked this one in particular because, again, Juju's like maybe the third option on what was a pass-heavy offense versus the number 2 on what we don't know type of offense.
I don't think, like, maybe the numbers show that he is a third option, but I think each year will change, at least for now.
Well, he was the second last year. Chase Claypool had a few big games which really put him over the top, but really Juju
So
was the
I'm going to go
option.
Juju.
Okay. I think as a Pittsburgh homer, I almost don't want to go Juju. But I think in that case, it would be Juju for me. But we all had to think about it. Juju Smith-Schuster's ADP and half PPR 74 right now compared to Curtis Samuel's 106. So quite a bit earlier. Would you rather, Anthony, this one's for you, Curtis Samuel or Jarvis Landry?
Curtis Samuel.
Jarvis Landry. And I'll say this because Odell Beckham is going to do nothing again, and Jarvis Landry will take over.
But he's still there, and Baker Mayfield's still going to feel like he needs to
he's
throw
still
to him
there,
10 times
and
a
he'll
game.
start there, and he won't finish there.
Oh, he'll get traded. He could get traded.
Or finish at home, sitting and dealing with an injury.
We never wish for injuries, but he is injury prone. I would go Curtis Samuel in that case. I think Cleveland's going to run like 1,000 times and pass like 100. But okay, got a couple more. Curtis Samuel or Jamar Chase, rookie for the Cincinnati Bengals. Oh, by the way, Landry was ADP 99, much earlier. Well, a little bit earlier. Jamar Chase. That's
Jamar Chase.
Tougher, eh?
Yeah, I think I'm going Jamar Chase.
Okay, I think I would go Jamar Chase for the upside. I think I get really excited about super talented rookies coming in the league. He's 101, so slightly before Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel or Brandon Cooks, the lone wolf left in Houston.
My goodness. Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, I'm going to go Curtis Samuel as well.
I think I'd go Curtis Samuel as well. And Brandon Cooks he's a clear number 1 wide receiver, but we don't know who his QB is. He's being drafted 94th right now in half PPR. Curtis Samuel's 106. All right, last one. Curtis Samuel or Jerry Jeudy. Judge Judy, Denver Broncos sophomore wide receiver.
Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry Jeudy.
I think I'd go Curtis Samuel in this case as well, just because we don't know. We don't know Jerry Jeudy. We don't know Denver, Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater. Jerry Judy's going 95th ADP.
Aaron Rodgers. No, I'm
I mean, if it's Aaron Rodgers, see you later. I take Jerry Jeudy way earlier. Or Cortland Sutton. There's a lot of options in Denver.
Yeah.
All right, that was fun, guys. That was fun. Anything else on Curtis Samuel?
Nope.
No, that's it.
All right, well then, Anthony, I don't know if you're ready, but I believe it's time for They Said It on Reddit.
Wow. All right, so this one's coming from user bashful_bayleaf. Interesting name.
Mm-hmm. Most Bayleafs I know are quite bashful.
Sure. I'll take your word for it. All right, so this one kind of goes with what we've been talking about for the past 3 episodes with the Marquis de la Midround. It says, sell me on a player from the round 6 to 8 range. Every time I do a mock draft, I'm constantly disappointed with the players left on the board at that point. Players like Chark, Sutton, Robinson, and Singletary feel very underwhelming from my perspective, including the tight ends and QBs. So I constantly feel the urge to overdraft the later sleepers. I want to see what your more informed opinions on who in the range is a solid value so I can feel more confident in my drafts. Well, you see, we come up with we do this podcast to help out people like yourself. I mean, if you find yourself struggling in all your mock drafts from round 6 on, you got a big problem, but we're here to help. So we got one for you.
Here to help. So first of all, listen to all our Marquis episodes because there's plenty of people in that range that we'd be selling you on.
And we didn't name any of the ones that you're not a fan of. So, I mean,
so
we got
far.
you.
But in previous episodes, we did Mike Davis, TJ Hawkinson, Deebo Samuel, who are all in that range. Mm-hmm. And then last week we featured, who did we feature, guys? T. Higgins on my part.
Pittman.
Last week, Michael Pittman Jr., of course, and Moose. Who did you feature last week? Was that Odell? Not Odell.
No. It wasn't Odell.
Ayuk?
No.
Cortland Sutton?
No.
Robbie Anderson.
I
got you.
Mr. Anderson.
But I listened back to it, and it didn't sound. Yours sounded way more closer to the bad guy, to Mr. Smith. I didn't sound like him at all.
I've seen The Matrix over 1,000 times.
Oh, me too. But I was doing I exaggerated it too much. More like Mr. Anderson. I got to work on it for next time. Anyways, all that to say, we've featured plenty of people on the podcast to answer those questions. Anthony's cracking up now. But on Bashful Bayleaf's list in particular, were a few guys that actually I would say I do like, and I would try to sell them on. One of those would be DJ Chark Jr. And DJ Chark Jr. last year, very underwhelming season, which is part of the reason why he's drifted down in these mock drafts and in his ADP. Because last year he was touted as one of these players going in the mid rounds that could end up at wide receiver 1. And if that was what you drafted them for, then he busted. Of course, last year they had terrible quarterback play. Gardner Minshew was injured, had a broken thumb. They had Mike Glennon in there at some points. Did they have Jake Luton? I think they had Jake Luton one game.
Well, they lost Nick Foles in game 1.
Lost Nick Foles.
No, that wasn't last year.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Nick Foles was on Chicago last year. Yeah. Anyways, so DJ Chark didn't pan out, but the year before, which if you guys can vet for me, would have been his second season, in his sophomore season, I believe. He had a great chemistry with Gardner Minshew, and at one point, halfway through the year, he was number 4 wide receiver on the year for about half the season. So people were thinking, wow, if he can keep that pace up or something similar, he could be a wide receiver 1. He still has that talent. DJ Chark still has that talent. He also put on some muscle, which was requested of him by Urban Meyer and the staff. He's a clear red zone threat. And now that they have Trevor Lawrence there and other weapons like Travis Etienne, James Robinson, Laviska Shenault, Marvin Jones, he won't get all the attention of the defense. And I think there's an opportunity in Jacksonville for one of those receivers to emerge as a wide receiver 1 in fantasy, or at least a very high end wide receiver 2. So there's tons of opportunity there. You could say LaVisca has more value, and he does because he's going later. But I really like DJ Chark Jr. as the most talented receiver on that team to be the lead guy for Trevor Lawrence. So if I could sell you Bashful Bayleaf on DJ Chark, there it is. What about you guys? Anyone else that you would sell? Do you agree with the DJ Chark take or completely disagree? Moose,
Anthony?
you like DJ Chark?
Oh,
Anthony?
I mean, I got burned by him last year, and I didn't get burned by him the year before. I still don't know how I feel. I mean, it is higher. I would say don't be so low on him, Mr. Bayleaf. He's putting, like, they need the number one guy. I know we've talked about Laviska Shenault in our headlines a bunch of times and how he's showing improvement and he's the guy at camp. But I mean, DJ Chark's going to be the guy. Urban Meyer wants him to put on weight, so he becomes their strong number one receiving option. And with Trevor Lawrence there, I mean, I think everyone is just going to play better out in Jacksonville offensively. So
2019, that year that I was talking about,
finish 18th. I have
in half PPR. He might have been higher. I got him at 15 in standard, 17 in PPR. I got him at 73 receptions, 1,008 yards, and 8 touchdowns that year. And that was with Gardner Minshew. So I feel like he's got that. He's done it. He's done it in the season where he was just on the border of being a wide receiver 1 in fantasy. So
Bashful Bayleaf, you can't ignore the fact that Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be the next Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, whatever the epic elite QBs that have come into the league and made an instant impact. Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be that guy. So everybody gets a huge boost with that.
Yep. Anyone else? What about Cortland Sutton, Anthony? I know you're pretty high on Cortland Sutton.
I think as long as Teddy Bridgewater starts.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Teddy Bridgewater. Well, even with Drew Lock there, he got Cortland Sutton. Drew Lock was the quarterback for Cortland Sutton's first season, which where did he finish? So you said Chark finished 17th. I had 18th.
Cortland Sutton was up there in that
19th.
2 seasons
so
ago.
I have him 19th
in half PPR.
In half point PPR.
Yeah,
it might be 18th
with Drew Lock.
With Drew Lock.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Cortland Sutton was injured last year. I know you're not high on him. You're probably low on him because Jerry Jeudy's there and you got a whole slew of like sophomore receivers over there. But Cortland Sutton he's a massive dude, I believe. He's like 6'4", 216.
Yeah.
He's going to be the touchdown guy. His first season, he had 700. Oh, maybe it's not as good as I thought.
I'm just recalling the throw where Drew Lock.
Sorry, he's going to his fourth season.
Drew Lock probably had no business throwing the ball here and just tossed it up. And Cortland Sutton dove around and under a defender and caught it with one hand in the end zone. That was 2 seasons ago. And that was when I was like, whoa.
Cortland 2 seasons ago, 1,112 yards, 6 tutties.
Tutties.
Yeah, I would definitely take Cortland Sutton for sure.
Yeah. And remember, last year he was being drafted fairly early as like a wide receiver 2 or 3 with one of those guys with upside. Now he's being drafted almost later. Why? Because he got hurt, and people forgot about him. So these are the types of players that you can get tons of value on. Players that drop for non-logical reasons. Everyone gets hurt in football. Everyone. It's the one league. The NFL is the one league with a 100% injury rate. So, as long as it's an injury that you can rehabilitate, that shouldn't affect your decision on someone. So if you were high on them last year, why not be high on them this year?
Yep.
Come on. All right. So hopefully we sold them on some, but definitely have a listen to our marquee episodes. We'll try and convince you on Mike Davis or T. Higgins or Debo. Guys, or did you have another one? Guys, I finished my White Claw. It's a watermelon White Claw to cool off from the heat because it's just crazy hot. So my watermelon White Claw is done. It's a 5%er. Delightful, by the way. I don't know if you guys ever do White Claws?
Yeah.
No, but apparently these seltzers are all the rage this summer.
Yeah, I mean, like they're 100 calories,
But known fact, I don't know for you, Dave,
1
if
gram
it's
of
different,
sugar.
if it's
Delicious.
different for you, but here in Quebec, since all of our liquor is sold from the SAQ,
Yeah.
the White Claws from the grocery store or depanners or corner stores for
Right.
other people
Corner stores.
are different than the White Claws sold at our SAQs. So the one sold at the SAQ has liquor inside, and the White Claws from the grocery stores or corner stores they use malt, not liquor.
Oh, right.
Yes.
So it's not like a vodka soda.
Exactly.
Right. I don't know. I heard that as well. I don't know what this one is.
Does yours say malt on it? It will say malt on the front if it is a malt, like where the red mark is.
On the front, watermelon, melon d'eau, 5%, 100 calories, sparkling hard seltzer.
So that's not a malt.
Alcoholic beverage. Sweet. Okay, good. Because malt is like more of a headache recipe, right?
Right.
Okay.
Drink a few malts and definitely going to have a hangover.
Yeah, all right, good to know. Well, that's my first drink. My second drink is a classic Lighthouse Poseidon Pale Ale, 5%. Love the artwork. Lighthouse is just down the street from where I live. When you guys visit, we shall go in our stand-up paddleboard brewery tour, which I'm organizing. # copyright.
I'm
Circa 24.
drinking a Modelo that Anthony left at my house, and it's delicious.
Modelo is very good. It's a delightful beer. Very good for summertime drinking.
From Mexico.
Mexico. Anthony, what you got?
So today I didn't have a beer. I was having a Balvenie Scotch Caribbean cask edition, which was also being drank at Moose's house when I went over. So it really gave me the thirst for it. I had some already on hand, so I had one. I pretty much downed it at the beginning of the episode, but then I'm taking a page out of Dave's book and having some water. Esca, not a sponsorship.
Thanks for clarifying that. What a boy. A little scotch, a little water. Moose.
Plus, I had to shut off the AC so it didn't make noise in the background. So the water is helping keeping me refreshed.
You got to stay hydrated. Yeah. Love it. All right, guys. Any words of wisdom? Have you guys been watching Loki?
Oh,
no.
Yes.
No, not yet. Moose, you're saving it? Or you're not a big Marvel? You're not a big Marvel guy, eh, Moose?
Well, I don't know. I haven't really gotten into any of it. I still haven't watched WandaVision.
It's pretty good. I mean, you are Pyro today, honorary John Allardyce from X-Men, so you should be into Marvel. You are. But you're definitely an X-Men guy, so.
Yeah.
Loki is he is. He likes X-Men. We used to watch the mutant X-Men cartoons.
The X-Men are the best.
Yeah. What was I saying? Loki. I watched the first 2 episodes. I like it. It's very cool.
There's 3 now.
Yeah, I know. I haven't seen the third one yet.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen.
I was going to talk about it, but I guess I won't.
Do not.
No spoilers here.
Do not. But Owen Wilson, very cool that he's in it. I love Owen
Small
Wilson.
spoiler, no big deal.
That's not a spoiler.
Well, now I know he's in it. I didn't know
He's
he
in the
was
very first.
Well,
He's in like the first scene.
That's it. It's unwatchable.
Yeah, because you never know who's in movies and TV shows when they come out.
I didn't know he was in it. It would have been a complete surprise for me.
Okay. For a second.
That's ruined. The whole thing's ruined.
Yeah, okay. It's ruined. All right. Well, Moose, if you need to wear sunscreen when it's 295 Kelvin, what's your words of wisdom for me tomorrow, it being a projected 315 Kelvin? What should I do?
Stay inside.
Okay. So 295 Kelvin is wear sunscreen, 315 stay inside.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. And we'll be back in a few days, Thursday's episode, with our final Marquis de la Midround episode. So stay tuned for that. And of course, I've got to mention Anthony, Canadians.
Yeah.
Moose is even a big
Stanley
part of
Cup
our superstitions and our juju. Moose has carried us to several wins through ridiculous traditions that we have established, but they're clearly working. So Stanley Cup final. We're not a hockey podcast, but we are from Montreal, and we need all the positive juju we can get for these Canadians, so they can become Marquis of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Right?
Right. I like it.
Yeah. All right. As always, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Ciao.